Our next
Schedule.
my next class starts in 2 minutes.
Okay,
Same.
so I'm looking at the schedule right now to see what it's really talking about.
I think it's best if you guys ask the collegiate teacher instead because you guys are part of collegiate. And instead of taking schedule from like the other teacher, ask Miss Chandler or Miss Gilb instead because it's better that way. Because there's a lot of miscommunication going on around.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 9 Mondays. So this class is on A day.
Hmm.
This is Wednesday and then Thursday. Yeah, this schedule doesn't make any sense.
If you like, I can ask the assistant principal for collegiate instead if that's
Mm,
better.
yeah, yeah. If you guys can do
Okay,
that for me, that'd be awesome.
I'll text her real quick.
All right, thank you. All right. Either way, we're gonna have a class. I can't not have a class every single week. We're not gonna get anywhere that way. So we're gonna at least have something. If you guys have your other class to go to, that is more than okay. But if this class is starting at 9, I'll expect you guys to be ready at that point as well. So. We're definitely gonna have something today for the guys who this is their only class, and you guys can watch the video after class to see what you guys missed, and you guys can catch up on that. That'll be posted on the YouTube, so you guys can watch that right after class or whenever that other class is over for you guys. All right.
Uh,
So you guys won't really miss anything. You guys just won't be a part of it. But don't forget to sign the attendance as well.
okay.
All right. Don't forget to sign the attendance, you guys, before you guys get out of here.
All
All
right.
right. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. So did everybody get a chance to open up 3ds Max? Or are you guys having issues with that? Because I saw some comments that people are not getting 3ds Max or something like that. What's the issue with that right now?
So
It's
for
available,
that,
but we still need like the school to confirm that we're technically in the school before they let us use it free.
yeah, and I've been bothering the staff member, like the assistant principal and the counselor about it and getting it because I need it for like all of my classes.
Hmm.
And they still said that there's no word from the person that are doing it. And I even went up to the school to ask about it. And Miss Chandler was like, that's why I'm up in the building to get the information. So yeah. But they haven't like you guys are not the only one having problem because the senior are like more stressed out about it.
Okay. So, yeah, it's something that we're gonna definitely need to get get this really going. But what we can do is what I can start doing is I can start showing you the interface, basic things like that. So you guys are getting familiar with it, but you guys aren't getting to use it yet. And for some of the stuff, for some of these assignments that I'm going to assign in the first week, you're not really going to need 3ds Max for. So that's something that that'll be okay. I mean, hopefully we get it by next week at the latest, right? Just so that you guys can start your first model. And this is something that is it's been an issue for pretty much all my virtual classes to date, which is that you guys never have the software in time and we're waiting a week or two, and so it pushes back the models that you guys can make, and it's really annoying. But it's something that we have to all deal with, and we have to try to understand because these are extenuating circumstances that everybody's kind of having to deal with the COVID and virtual learning and software and stuff like that. So, I err on cutting some slack to the school just because they have thousands of students to deal with, thousands of issues, and we would just hope that people would be more prepared by now. That's all we can really hope for is some preparation so that this stuff isn't going to be affecting your education, because those are some vital weeks for you guys to really start to get familiarized with it. Because the first week I like to get you guys inside the software, familiar with how everything runs, and then you guys get your feet wet with your first model. But if you guys aren't going to get that, well, you guys can at least watch some videos, learn some things about how the software works in that time. So with that, we're going to first go through your artwork. The I told you guys to post whatever artwork you guys have gone through. I saw that only like 2 or 3 of you guys have created your ArtStation, so I need you guys to please do that. That's where you guys are going to post your final works. Make your ArtStations and follow me on ArtStations. You're getting a grade for it, and if you don't have one, you're not getting your grade for your ArtStation or any of the work, because that's where you're going to post your final work. That's essentially your portfolio. So you guys need to get that done. Get it in. Get it in. All right. So ArtStation, YouTube, right? Get on those. Those are going to be your biggest resources right now, because you can watch those videos, and if you have questions about it, you can then ask me about it. What questions you have on software, whatever it may be. All right. So let's just dive in and start looking at some of these student threads. All right. So let's see. Can you guys see my screen? Capture. Okay. All right, let's take a look at Gael. All right, this looks pretty cool. It's like a boxy art that it's like Minecraft that you took into. Would you use Photoshop, Paint to do that? Derpy Cat. Is that you? Okay, that's funny. All right, that's cool stuff. So have any of you guys tried 3D at all? Nothing here.
No, I have not.
You haven't tried 3D? Okay. Let's go. That's okay. I don't know why you drew it on graph paper, but that's fine.
I talked to the counselor because the assistant principal wasn't answering, and I gave her your email. She said she'll email you about it and everything.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so nobody else has posted. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is really cool. I dig these a lot. I dig the stomp. All right. April, cool. Pickle Rick. That's cool. All right. So you guys have drawn a little bit. That's cool. That's good. You guys at least have some of those hand skills that I'm talking about that you guys need to kind of cultivate. And I'd like to see a lot more like natural drawings where it's like the figure, hands, face. So you're practicing anatomy more, and I think that would definitely help a lot of you guys get better at this stuff. All right. So since it's just gonna be us, we can.
I drew some animals in mine. I don't know if you saw them.
I didn't see that.
What's that, Eduardo?
Okay. I see that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, see, like little stuff like that, right? Animals, and even these are anthropomorphized animals where they're taking on human characteristics. But yeah, things like that. Like do more drawings like this, right? Face, and then isolate into like arms, fingers, so you understand how that anatomy works. Right, that's the one thing that you guys are lacking right now is anatomy structure, because if you understood anatomy a little bit more, you guys would have better skills at doing those, and you can anthropomorphize them a little better. A little Dilbert, is that what that I see there? Dilbert, it's a cool comic. All right, cool stuff. So let's go into 3ds Max, and I have a video where I go over the intro for how 3ds Max kind of works. So I'm going to do a brief intro to 3ds Max for you guys, so you guys know what to expect whenever you open your software. So when you open up 3ds Max, right, you open up 3ds Max, you're going to be met with this beautiful interface, and you can change this color in the preferences, but we're not going to start there. We're going to start with just this front part, right? This top part right here. This is your toolbar, right? This toolbar allows you to do a number of things. You can in your file section, you can start a new document, open, right? If you guys have used pretty much any basic software, you know how this usually goes, which is this is where your saves are, right? This is where you import and export things out. You've got a bunch of different export types that you can do whenever you want to export out of 3ds Max. OBJs, FBXs, Collada files, ASCII files, right? You can all your exports, Unreal Datasmith. This is a plugin that I installed myself, but this is something that you guys have access to right off the bat when it comes to 3ds Max. So you've got your imports, exports. You can send it to Maya, Motion Builder, Mudbox, right? Your preferences, you can set your references, you can xref objects. This means, what xref means is that you can have a separate file, right, and reference objects or scenes from that file in this file, and it'll show up in this file, but you're not making any edits to it. It'll be kind of like in a ghost form, so you can use it to build. So a bunch of different people can work on the same thing at one time, right? That's the beauty of 3ds Max. So I can xref these things, and what I would do is, like, if we were working on an architectural building or something, right, we could xref the entire site into our building. I can do my work on my level. Another artist can xref that scene, right, and they can do what they got to do, and we're not working on top of each other, right? And that's the beauty of xrefing and stuff like that. So you have project settings that you can set, your info. You can even edit your properties here, your file properties. You can edit your preferences here. And in your preferences, this is where you would tell how many unsaves that you want, how many level of, not unsaves, the undos, right? I can do 20 undos. You can set it to the different bump modes if you're normal to Maya, or you are more familiar with DirectX, which you guys probably don't know what either of those means, but that's okay right now, right? In your file, you can convert the file paths. You can, there's a ton of stuff, and I would advise you guys to just do what I'm doing right now. This is how I learned this software. Is I just clicked through, looked at what everything does, kind of familiarize myself with what they do, right? The interaction mode, right? I can, set it to Maya configurations or 3ds Max. If you're used to Maya, you can work with those same kind of configurations here, right? So that's really awesome, right? This is where you would go and change your gamma correction, right? Regular linear gamma is 1.0, but to have a correct gamma in this color space, right? That's something we're going to talk about as well as color space, right? So we're going to, to really get true linear or to work linearly between your programs, you really want a 2.2 gamma correction, and this is going to affect your color selection, and it's going to affect your material editor, right? And this is usually what everybody sets theirs to right now. Well, I'll explain how this works later on, so you guys understand why I'm choosing a 2.2 gamma space versus 1.0. All right, so now you can even affect your rendering. You can affect how it treats hot spots, fall off, your background, different things like that. And that's what I do. I just go around, click, and see what everything does. The key bracket display, the animation, the sound plugins, right? You can do different plugins if you want. You can have different controller setups for it. This is your IK, FK. This relates to animation. IK stands for inverse kinematics. So it tells how joints are gonna work, right? That's pretty much what IKFK really does. And depending on what your root bone is, you might want to choose IK. Depending on what you're animating, you might want to use IK or FK. If you guys have animated, these might be terms that you've heard. If you haven't, well, I'm just kind of reiterating them now. I might not go through IKFK much in this class, but if you are an animator, that's something that you guys should be familiar with. All right, so your gizmos, this is your transform gizmos. Well, You can turn them on, you can turn them off, you can show the axis labels where that's these little guys right here, right? You know, the XYZ, you can tell them to not show. You can allow multiple gizmos, you can change the size, you can make them giant, you know, or you can make them really small. So this is where you affect your gizmos, and this is your max script. Your max script listener is this guy right here at the bottom, right? You can type in different max scripts in here and it'll do different things. So I can, you know, write a script to make a cube in here, right? And this affects how that works. So you can load your certain startup scripts, right? You can tell it not to load, so all your scripts won't work or it won't load them, and you can automatically load them yourself or manually load them yourselves, I mean. I misspoke on that. All right, so let's see. This is your containers, right? This is stuff that you can put different things in. So when saving containers to formats compatible with 3ds Max 2010, change them supported rules to either have no access or only edit in place. That means it won't move. You can only edit it in that position, right? And then you can have certain refresh intervals. So you can say, I want it to refresh every 1.5 seconds or every 30 seconds, whatever you need to do, you can do that there. And then you can have, you know, this is your help button. This is how your network configurations, your local network versus your network, or your local computer versus your network, or you can just go to the Autodesk site, right? And that's pretty much your preferences. So then you've got your edits. Right, this allows you to edit different objects, and based on what you have working, right, it's context sensitive, which means depending on what I'm doing, I will have different options. So let me Alt-W this. So now if I go to my edit, right, these are now populated because now I have an object selected. So if I didn't have this, some of this stuff wouldn't show up because there's nothing to edit. So it's context sensitive. All right, so then in your edits, you've got your move, your scale, your placement, all of this stuff. I don't want you guys to go inside of these to do, right? I'm going to show you how to, let's turn on no board so that you guys can see my keyboard. So if I hit Alt and W, right, it zooms whatever I have selected into one screen. So it zooms extent, like that's the, it goes into the extent of that window. It selects that. So if I have this one, right? So, and you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see my keyboard and you guys can see the keys that I'm pressing, right? That's the left, or that's the middle mouse button and Alt that I'm using to rotate this object around, right? Right, if I hit F, it goes into my front view. If I hit V, it's gonna zoom it. So like I'm gonna do that, move that over way. I have my object selected. I can't find it in the scene. Oh no. If I hit Z, it's gonna zoom it into the camera. So if I lose it, I can just hit Z. Okay, I've got that object selected. Boom, it's back on my front view. So if I hit F, it's gonna go to my front. L is gonna go to my left view. P is gonna take me into perspective, right? P, it's already in perspective. If I do U, that takes me into orthographic. All right, so orthographic is like building mode. It's a parametric modeling kind of view where this is actually out how it is in 3D, right? Like this is it in real 3D, but this isn't how our eyes perceive objects. Our eyes don't perceive it. This is a very mathematical way to look at it, right? And you can get things wrong by looking at it this way. You want things to look right in your perspective view because that's how our eye sees it. And since we're artists, right, not actual engineers, what we do is we model the way our eyes would see it. And our eyes see in a 45-degree kind of cone. So this is what this imitates. It imitates that 45-degree angle of view for us. So it looks more natural. It looks more normal. If our eyes saw everything in orthographic, it would be really weird, right? It would be a really weird world. But we see things like this because of how our eyes are shaped. Our eyes are very circular, so they have this kind of cone to them, this cone shape. And that's why we use this view, right? So perspective, that's just some of the hotkeys, right? I don't want you guys to go in there to do any of this, right? To move something, you would just hit W, right? So if I hit W, now I can move this object, right? E lets me rotate it, right? R allows me to scale it, right? W-E-R, W-E-R, right? In my class, this is what I would have you guys do. I would have you guys, you over and over, just click W-E-R, 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 right? So you're getting used to that, to hitting those for your move, scale, and rotate. These are probably your most important movement tools other than middle mouse alt to rotate. Right, those are very important. So now I can scale it. Right, that if I scale it through the middle, I'm scaling it uniformly. Right, this is a lot of, and this is an issue that you guys have all the time. When you guys scale things, you guys scale it non-uniformly. So you might have this one selected, and you're scaling it on just the X and Y, right? Or you might be scaling on that, or you might be scaling it on the X and the Y, right? But I want you guys, unless you have a specific reason to scale it this way, right, on the X and Y, scale uniformly. Because what it's going to do is it's going to squash and stretch. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's do 5, 5, and 5. All right, let's do 10, 10, 10, and 10. All right. So, as you can see, all of these, let me center it. So all of these are square. These are evenly divided square, right? It's a 10 by 10 by 10 square with 5 length segments, 5 width segments, and 5 height segments, right? So with all of this, if I start to scale it uniformly, you're gonna see that these cubes are gonna keep their 1-to-1 ratio, right? I'm scaling it up, but it's still remaining the same. But the moment I start scaling it non-uniformly, right, you can see that these are starting to get elongated, right? If I scale it this way, right, now I've got these rectangles, right, and that's not good for modeling. Modeling, you want even squares for the most part all around on your mesh, right? This is what they call quad topology. Right, this is what they call quad topology. This is the kind of topology you want because, watch this. If I throw a spherify on here, so if I throw a spherify, boom, right there, it's going to turn it into a complete sphere. All right, so now if I throw a turbo smooth on it, boom, it's a complete sphere. And a lot of times people will do that over just making a sphere from the object type because of the kind of topology you're going to get. So if I make just a regular old sphere, this is the topology I get right here. So let's put F4. Go F3 so we can see that, and let's hide that. Right, you guys can see that these quads are more evenly distributed than this. All of these quads, right, this topology, you can see that these lines are all meeting at this pole right here, right? This pole right here, right? These are called high valence points. These are called high valence points because you have a lot of these lines, right, meeting right here. So you've got a high valence point right here. So what's going to happen when the computer tries to shade this is it's going to have a little bit of issue dealing with that point because our shading works based on the vertice. And if you have a vertice with a lot of points or a lot of lines coming from them, you're going to get some weird shading issues. So artists, a lot of the times, instead of making just this regular sphere that you get from the tool panel right here, the modify panel, they would make a box, right? Evenly divide that and then spherify it so that you've got this more even quad topology. You don't have any one point that has more than one or two one or two lines converging on it, right? This is our highest valence point right here, where we've got 1, 2, and 3. Nowhere near the, I mean, it has to be at least 20 of those in there, right? So that's what I'm talking about. When topology matters, topology really does matter, and we're still getting the same sphere here, right? We might be getting like a little bit more. Let me affect this. Let's center to the object, right? We might be getting a little bit more of a boxy, like this one looks a little more boxy because it comes from a box, right? But like when we overlay them on top of each other, like I said, like, it's a very minuscule kind of difference that you're getting for your turbo smooth. No, let's not go higher than that, right? So I smoothed it out, and that's what we're getting. Right, we've got some decent. So if I take it out, right, and then we throw some turbo smooth, we got some decent topology going for our model. Right, I'm harping on topology because it's something that's very, very important, and I feel like a lot of artists still kind of look over it today and not use topology as well as they need to, and they rely on too many booleans to do things that, simple good topology would solve a lot of those issues. And that's why even in the thread I have something called modeling them shapes, right, where you see how people address issues with topology and different things like that. So that's still part of it, right? So you've got your groups, you've got your views. So like if your groups is, if I have a box, a sphere, right, and a cone, and I'm going to select all of these. I can see, remember I told you context sensitive. Nothing shows up now because I have nothing selected, but once I select these, I can group them, right? I can group them now into, let's see, my shapes. Right, let's group them into shapes. And now I can ungroup, I can open the group, I can open them recursively, right? I can explode the group, which would make everything, it'll explode the group, which will essentially do what that word says, which is just separate everything back into their own individual objects, right? But what happens with the group is now, if I select one, right, I'm selecting the entire thing, and I can move this, right? If I hit N, and I just, let's keyframe this, and then bring it all the way down, pull this over here, and then keyframe that. So now I've got my object moving all together at once. Right, I can select, but if I go open, right, I can open them. You can see this pink box right here is our group container. So if I move this, it's gonna move that container, right? This is how your groups work, right? So it's gonna move that container for you. So if you see this pink box, okay, well, I've got something in my group that's really far out. You might want that, you might not want that. It's up to you. This is just me showing you how all of this stuff works, right? And then because it's set to do everything I just did. So now it's taking all those things. So as I'm moving, right, what's happening is, because I have N selected, which is auto key, right, it auto keys every time I make a move, every time I make a change, it's gonna set an auto key for me, right? So if I take this and move this guy like over here, right, so I'm not even doing anything, it's setting those auto keys for me. Let me just play that back. Right, so that's just how that works. So then we can go into our views, right? The best way to navigate your views for me is this keyboard, right? So if I hit F, it takes me to the front view, right? You just need to remember front, left, B is for bottom, T is for top, and then if you want to go into right view, you can't hit R, you're gonna need to hit V. And this brings up a little drop down for all your viewports. So I can go to my right view there. If I hit V again, I can go to my top. I can go to my bottom. If I hit V, I can go to my back, right? Then isometric, and then I can go into a camera view. But I don't have any cameras in the scene, so it's not gonna let me, all right? So that is how your views work. I don't want you guys to be looking through here and be like, oh, I need to get, no. If you do that, you're fired, right? What I want you to do is use your keys, your hotkeys. F, L, T, V, R, right? V, B, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This is it, right? Use your keyboard. Don't do the granny way, which is going here and trying to search for stuff. That's the granny method. None of that in this class. I'm teaching you guys to be proficient 3ds Max users. And the first step is to using this keyboard, right? Navigate faster. All right, so this is your create panel, right? This is your create panel. This is also your create panel right here. This is your create panel as well. Here, you can create everything that you can create in here. So I don't want to see none of y'all dropping this down to do anything in here. Everything in here is right here, right? If y'all want to take it a step further, start doing everything in your Max script listener right here, right? You can do different things in here. I couldn't remember a script to save my life, but you can do a bunch of stuff in there. I'm not going to show you guys. Oh, you guys can't even see that because the no board is in the way. All right, so this is your Max script listener right here, this guy. So if you have a script or something, you can definitely come check it out here. So, and if you right click on it, you can open up this listener window and you can really literally just type in different scripts, different codes. You know, I know there's a create function for creating, you know, basic objects in here. So like, let's see. So let's see, open editor. Keys. It should tell me. So this is your Max script editor. So if you put in lines of code, you can show it up in here and type in different codes and stuff like that, and it'll do it in here. I don't have any to show, but maybe next class I'll find some cool Max scripts to do different things that we can use. All right, so that's the views. That's the create panel. Here are your modifiers, right? So once again, all of these modifiers are in here. Here's your modify tab right here. Everything that you're gonna need from here is right here, right? And the beauty about modifiers is if I just hit the first letter of the word, it's going to take me to that. So if the first modifier is in Turbo Smooth, I'm just going to hit T. It's going to take me to all the T's. If the modifier I'm looking for is Q, I'm going to type in Q, and it's going to take me to all the Q modifiers. So that's an easy way to navigate your modifier list. But this is where they are, right here, your modifiers. So here's your animation tab, right? You can load animations, save animations, constraints, different things like that. In here, once again, it's all in here in let's see, it should be in your motion tab. This is your motion tab, right? Yeah. So here's all that stuff in here. That same thing in your animation tab, that's where you can find that. All right, so your rendering tab. Okay, fortunately for you guys, there's no rendering tab in here, but in your rendering tab, there's only a few buttons that you need to know from here anyway, which is 8, which is gonna pull up your environment setup. Shift Q, which is the render button. So if you hit Shift and Q, it's gonna render everything you have in this scene. So let me hit Shift Q for you guys. Shift and Q, and it pulls this up. So if I do, let's close this and then Shift Q, boop, just like that. It's gonna render everything I have in frame. Boom, perfectly fine. If I hit 8 on my keyboard, it's going to pull up my environment and effects. So this is where I can set, if I have an HDR that I want to put in the background, I can say, hey, I want an HDR. So watch this. So I'm going to say this environment color, instead of black, I want it to be white. So now if I hit Shift and Q, it's going to turn it to, so this is why that's important. So I hit 8, pulled up my environment and effects, and I can change the color in the background to whatever I want. Right, this is my color editor. If I double click on this, it's going to pull this guy up, and I can just change this color, make it green. If I hit Shift and Q, boom, green background. So that's how your environment setup works. All right, so this is your rendering environments. Render to texture, we're not going to be using any render to texture in this class, but if you hit F10 on your keyboard, this is important too. This is going to pull up your render setup, and this is very important. This is where you set your output sizes. This is where you set your renderer, your target renderers, right? This is very important. So F10, Shift Q, let's see, 8 on the keyboard. These are little hotkeys that I'm trying to give you guys so that you guys are on that next level. So 8, environment effects. F10 will bring up your render setup. Here I'm going to change it to HDTV, and it's going to set me up at 1920 by 1080. And then if I hit Shift and Q, it's going to render out my image for me. And now I've got a representation of the best modeling you guys have ever seen in your entire life. Wow, that's one awesome sphere, one kick, a cone, and a very square box. All right. So this is just showing you guys how this stuff works. You know, you guys are gonna get familiarized with this the more you guys play with this software. But that's how this works. Civil view, I don't even know what that is. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm scared to click it, but let's click it and see what it does. What is civil view? All right. System view. The system unit settings in 3ds Max follow centimeters. To ensure the civil view object library content is correctly scaled in your scene, it's recommended you set the scale units to, okay, so this is like if you're like an engineer and you want to make sure that all your metrics and all your measurements are correct. So you would set it to what kind of imperial measurement you want. You want US imperial or US metric, and you can set that here, or you can set it to manual or automatic, and then you can go and set your system units. So yeah, that's that. That's all that does. All right. Oh, that was scary for a second. I thought I was gonna blow up my computer. Psych, no, that's not gonna happen. Let's see. The customize. So now this is where you can customize everything about 3ds Max that you like, you don't like. So if you hit the customize user interface, it's gonna bring this guy up right here. Right? So I can customize my keyboard. I can set my keys, my functions to do anything. And here's what I would recommend for you guys to do. I would recommend that anything that you use more than 3 or 4 times during any given modeling session, you might want to set it to a hotkey. Right? So if I find myself cutting things all the time, if I'm using the cut tool all the time, I'm going to set that to a hotkey. If I find myself extruding or splitting things all the time, I'll set it to a hotkey. If I find myself, swift looping things all the time, I set it to a hotkey. So I have my own personal work through of my hotkeys. You guys, we might not have the same hotkey mentality, right? So I have my loop set to down arrow. So if I hit down on my keyboard on my arrow, it's gonna loop a segment for me, and I'll show you guys how that works. So let me right click. I'm gonna convert this to an editable poly. So I'm gonna select this. All right, so let's hit F4 so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is before they added this feature into it, but if I hit down on my arrow, right, you guys saw that. If I just hit down, when I have this one selected, it's going to select that loop. So now I can do control select that one. If I hit down again, it selects that loop for me, right? The reason is there's a button right here, but it's a little faster for me to just hit down on my keyboard. Boom. Sorry. Down on my keyboard.
Bless you.
Thank you. So if I just hit down on my keyboard, just like that, I've got my loops going for me, right? So things like that. And I also set my ring to 1 as well, right? I can just hit ring and it'll ring it for me, but I set it to right on my keyboard. So if I hit right, it can just ring it for me, right? So I set simple things like that, things that I do repetitively. It's going to make us a lot faster in this. And this isn't just for 3ds Max. If you have any software, guys, that allows you to set up hotkeys for yourself, I implore you to do so, because it's going to make you so much faster. It's going to make you just that little edge, those couple of seconds that you shave off can be the determining factor between you getting your project in on time and you not, right? Because you're not having to try to click and move around, right? I call it granny style. When you're the guy clicking from button to button, you're clicking everywhere. Clickety clack, clicking. No. It makes you more efficient if you've set up some hotkeys, right? That's the mark of a true artist, right? For me though, what I try to teach you guys, I try to take it back to the basics where I'm using the default as much as possible. You're gonna see me not use my loop as much, and because I'm trying to teach you guys where these buttons are to start with. So if you guys don't see me using my hotkeys as much, well, it's because I'm trying to show you guys, hey, this is where these buttons are, and I might even do it 3 different ways just so you know. And in 3ds Max, the cool thing that they did is they now allow you to, if I select this guy, or if I want to select the loop, I can just double click that loop. Double click, right? It's crazy. You can do things 30 different ways here, right? I can select it, hit loop. I can select it down on my keyboard, and then I can just double click it, right? That's 3 different ways to do one function. That's the beauty of 3ds Max. Some people might do things differently than you. That's okay. You're going to find your style. You're going to find what works for you, and you're going to stick to that, and that's perfectly fine. The name of the game isn't my way is better than yours. The name of the game is get the job done and get paid so your family can eat, you can have money in your pocket. That's the name of the game. The name of the game isn't, oh, I'm going to do it this way because this guy says it's this is the way to do it. No. Find the best way that works for you. Find the best way to get the best outcome out of it. I don't care how you do it. Just get the best outcome, right? I'm only advise you based on what I found that works for me. Hey, when I set up hotkeys, it makes me faster. When I do this, it makes me faster. If you as an artist want to work granny style to the day you die, I'm not going to be there to be like, hey, you're not. No. If you get the job done, I don't care how you do it. As long as you get the job. But I'm going to try to advise y'all on how to get the most out of this software, right? So hotkeys, set those up. Hotkeys are very, very important. Right? If you find yourself using it more than once or more than twice or more than 3 times, hey, might be time for you to set up a hotkey for that bad boy. All right? So let's, we're talking about customizing our user interface, right? So we can customize every single thing in here. Add hair, add gizmo, add tail, add spline, everything. You can set that to a hotkey. All right? So you can even set your mouse up. You can set your mouse hotkeys up differently if you want. So you can set up your navigation, what they do. I leave these default because they already kind of work. You can even do Maya if you're used to Maya, right? Then you've got your toolbars, right? These are your toolbars right here. So this is your main UI, right? And if you drop this down where it says groups right here, it shows you all the UIs that you have in 3ds Max. So your particle flow UI, your weight UI, all your UIs are going to be in here. And here are all the commands for it, right? So you can scroll through that, animation layer, add new buttons to different things and different things like that. So then you've got your quad menu, right? This is stuff like this, right? I can add a new quad right here if I wanted to. All I would have to do is find the object type and add a new quad to it, but I don't want to do that. No, let me see if I can find my object type. Object paint. All right, so let's see, where is our menus? display, tools, tools 1. So here are your transforms right here. So you move, scale, rotate, right? Your default quad options are right here. So I can go into any of these and start messing with those. Active shade, right? Your biped layers. So my edit poly window. So my edit poly window, I can change the commands, add a button here if I want. Another way I can do that, so here are the menus. So these menus are all right here. So here's your file menu. Here's everything you have here, right? You can add a new one to it. You can, you know, so this is, you can customize everything in here. It's freaking amazing. You know, here's every single one of those menus from down to the help. And then you can add your own if you want to it. I'm not going to mess with my setup right now, but you know, you guys can do that if you want. So here are your viewports. You can change the color. You know, it's crazy what you can really customize. I've got a friend whose 3ds Max doesn't even look like 3ds Max anymore. I'm just like, how do you even work on that thing? It's like colorful and it's got like buttons flying everywhere. I'm just like, holy crap, how did you even get there? You know, but every artist works differently, you know. So this is, you know, you can edit all your colors and stuff in here too. So like here, if I go into my object type, right, we can close this rollout, open all. We can reset the order of it, right, even in there. So this is your utilities. You can show them, uncheck it, check it, right? So in our customize, we can load custom UI setups, right? So here's where you would go to load any kind of UI that you have. So the default UI is this light gray one. Oh, next time I open. So if I, no, unsave, no. So next time I open 3ds Max, it's gonna open up the default UI setup. I'm gonna show you guys that UI setup. So that's how you change your UI setup. And then you can even change it to dark, light. You can change the colors of it to whatever you want. I mean, 3ds Max is a pretty robust program. And I would implore you, whenever you guys get a chance, do what I just did. Click around. Look at what they do. Click on the buttons. You know, make some objects and see what those really do. Right? The more familiar you guys can get with the program, the easier it is going to be for you guys to follow my tutorials and model stuff. Okay, so I guess this is the default UI. So customize UI switcher. So if we go to AME light, so that's what light looked like. So let's see if it'll change it to light. All right, so this is the light side of 3ds Max. So if this is, I don't know why. Maybe if I close it and open it, that top part didn't change. But this is light 3ds Max. I don't really like it because it makes my models look weird and it's hard to judge what's going on. So I just, you know, I leave mine at, I use the AME dark. So this is Max. This is Design Viz. If you're like working in design visualization, Design Viz. This is using the art renderer. This is Max using the art renderer. I just use Max and AME dark for mine. Yours might be AME light, but dark is the way for me personally. My wife personally likes light. That's her prerogative. I don't, you know. Everybody has their own preferences. I just feel like this, you know, gives me a better option of looking at my models, and you know, the contrast helps me modeling a little better. It's just a personal thing. All right, so we can. This is where you would also go to set your unit setups up. All right, and here's a reminder that this does not change the scale of anything. This just shows you how it's viewed. So right here it says centimeters, but if I change it to meters, it's going to change how it is viewed in here. It doesn't change it. It doesn't make this a true meter now, right? It doesn't do that. That's just how it's viewed. That is just how it is viewed. It does not change it. To actually change it, right? To actually change the unit setup, I'm going to have to select a system unit. And right now it's set to 1 unit is equal to 1 centimeter. So no matter what, if it's showing me meters, everything is still scaling based on 1 unit is 1 centimeter. To actually change the system's units, I need to drop this down and then change this to 1 meter. So now every single unit I draw is actually 1 meter. So if I hit OK, now everything I draw is going to actually be 1 meter. All right, so all this unit setup does is change how it's viewed. It doesn't actually change the unit setup. So if you're using US standard, feet and inches, feet fractional inches, it doesn't matter. This is just a display mechanism. This just shows you what the display is. You can use international or American standard, right? So depending on the project I'm working on, it depends on the unit setup that I'm using on a case-by-case basis. All right, so yeah, this is your UI. This floating toolbar, I will always turn off. It looks, I don't like it. You guys can't see it, but it's all of these guys right here. So these little floating toolbars, I don't use them. I don't recommend you guys use them. They take up memory, and I just don't like them. So, yeah, I turn those off. All right, another thing I turn off is there's this view cube thing that I don't like at all, but we'll get to that here in a second. So here's our plugins. Here's all the plugins that come native to 3ds Max. This is Max to Arnold. This is like a plugin that they did themselves so that you can transfer everything to Arnold shaders. There's a bunch of different plugins in here that come standard with it. That's fine. You guys won't ever really need to change those. All right, so then there's our preferences, which we went over already. It's also in that file tab, but let's see, viewport. This is where the view cube is, because I hate it. You guys will have this in yours, but let me just see if I can address it now. Viewport, let's see. Configure viewport. Alright, so if you click here in the plus and you configure your viewport, your 3ds Max by default, it's going to come with this guy right here, this view cube. So if I apply it, it's going to be this thing. And if you see this thing in your 3ds Max, the first thing you should definitely go do is change that and remove that from your 3ds Max, because it's just going to run on your software. It's just going to like take down more RAM, so it's going to run a little slower. You're not going to know why, but it's because you've got this stupid view cube going. And what it does, I mean, in theory, it's cool, but in practicality, it doesn't work as well. So like I can use my view cube. I can click on front, right, back, right, Z, front, left, right, like, and then I can go home. That's all right, but it doesn't do that, because you guys already know how to do Alt, rotate, F, right? You already have your hotkeys. You don't need this there. This is just taking up RAM. So first thing you should do is go into your view cube, configure the viewport in the view cube, turn that off, and apply that. So it takes the view cube out of there. All right. So the interactive view, you guys don't need to mess with at all. The scripting, this is where you would install scripts. If you guys download some scripts from places like ScriptSpot, You can even write your own script here. You can run the script. You can open script. This is where this Max Script Listener is this guy right here, right? I told you they do everything like it's like they have a redundancy issue here, where everything has to have a redundancy. Everything has to have a backup. If you can't do it here, you got to be able to do it somewhere else. So this Max Script Listener right here, you can open the listener, open the editor. That's where this is, the scripting. This is where your script is. You can hit F11 to turn it on or open it, but I usually turn my F11 to something else. But yeah, that's where you get that, your interactive content, all that stuff. Asset library. This is if you, whenever you guys get further down and you start making your own assets, you have an asset library. You can launch the 3ds Max asset library, and you can start using their stuff, and you can even make your own asset library that you can call up anytime and just drag and drop models in there, which is pretty cool. So Substance, this is something that I installed myself because I use Substance Designer and Substance Painter a lot. So this transfers all your materials into your Substance to Arnold or Substance to V-Ray, whatever render engine you're using. This takes that Substance file and changes it to that. And then this is your help that allows you to find tutorials, which you guys should be on constantly. The essentials, the written tutorials. You need to be looking through these all the time, learning. It never stops, guys. Unfortunately, for human beings, learning will never ever stop. Learning will never stop for us. So we got to keep learning. Even I'll go in here sometimes, just to see, hey, is there something I can pick up real quick, while I'm having breakfast. I'll look through some 3ds Max tutorials. These are just one minute little tutorials that'll help you guys get an edge over the competition out there. Because if you think other students aren't practicing in other schools and other places, you're wrong. It's a very competitive field, and people are getting better every single day. So you guys need to do the same for yourselves. Treat yourselves like you're in a competition with everybody else, and try to learn as much as you guys can. All right, so that's pretty much the toolbar here. I would implore you guys to go through them as well. This is going to be part 1. Part 2, we're going to finish up this toolbar, this second part as well, and this little part right here. So these are your undo functions. So go back, go forward. That's what this does. And I can set the intervals in my preferences. So I can go, back 20 or forward 20, and then it maxes out. You can set it up as high as you want, but you got to remember that that's going to take up some space on your computer. So this is linking. So this is close to grouping, but it's not the same thing. So what I can do is I can link this to this. So now this object is now linked to this. So if I move this object, this will follow. If I move it up, it will follow. But the same is not true for the other side, because this is the child and this is the parent, right? So the parent now controls the child, and I can do the same. So I can now set up a link to this guy, and right, you guys should know what's going to happen next. If I move, this will happen. If I move this will go. And if I move this by itself, none of it will go, right? So that's how that link works, right? And then I can link this guy to this guy. But, right, if I move this guy, it doesn't move. The only way this guy's going to move as well is if I move this guy. You see how parenting and child works, right? There's a parent, and the child is linked to it. And if I do the same vice versa, I can link this guy to this guy. So, it's not going to work because now there's a loop dependency, right? That's not going to work because this guy's already parented to this guy, and you can't loop those guys that chain together. All right, so what I can do is I can then break these links. So I can select these guys, and I can just go, unlink these selections. So none of these guys are now linked together, right? So that's how linking works, right? These are just simple things that I'm teaching you guys. Simple little ideas right, of how linking works. All right. So let's see. So we can bind to space warp. We're not going to use any of that here. This is everything. You can select all. You can select geometry, lights, combos. That's what you guys would do there. So this is your selection, object selection. So if this, I can select different objects. I also use V for that. So, or there's a V. I can also use W. But W is move. I mainly use W. I rarely use this. I use W because it allows me to move and select at the same time. So the difference is, you see, like the selection, it only selected. I can't move it. I can't move it unless I hit W. Now if I select it, I can move around. All right. So I can now select by name. If I click that, it's going to bring up this guy right here. So it's going to select it by the name. So I can select this guy. Okay, select it for me. Boom, it's got that selected. But, you know, if I can see the object, I can select it. So that's why you guys should definitely consider naming your stuff. So, you know, front box. Give it something unique. Front box. Back plane. Oh, nope. Need to do this. There's B, Z. Select this guy. Modify. So I'm gonna do back plane. So now if I select by name, you'll see that I've got these names populated in there. So back plane, if I select the back plane now, I'll know what to select. So if I want to select that back plane, so I'm just going to go boom, back plane, boom, got it selected, right? I'm not having to worry. I'm not having, you know, because you might have scenes with thousands of objects and you're like, what plant do I need to select, or what object is that? I don't know what object that is. But if you have good naming conventions, well, it's easy for you to navigate. It's easy, you know. And the thing is, it's going to start off easy, but when you guys start getting into these more complex models, you're going to want to have good naming conventions, or you're going to drive yourselves crazy. All right, so let's go to selection sets. So here I've got my rectangular selection. So rectangular selection allows me to do this. Whoop, you see that marquee? That's called a marquee selection. You should know, if you have ever used Photoshop, this selection is very important. This is a marquee selection. But the beauty is, this isn't the only way I can select objects. If I drop this down, if I hold this down, right, I've got this circular one I can use. I've got this lasso one, so I can draw, right? Draw the selection that I want, close it, and it's going to select everything I want. So if I just want to select these guys, right? Boom. If I want to select these guys, say that's all I want. Boom. Just like that. So you have this opportunity to use that. There's also this kind of lasso one. That's a rectangular lasso. This is more of like a, you know, a blob lasso, a freehand lasso. Right, and if you have a Wacom like I do, it makes it a little easier to do kind of those selection sets. Like I can just boom, you know, all right, I want that, I want that, I want that, you know, just like that. Right, and you only get that if you drop this bad boy down and do that. So zoom crossing, or this window crossing, is pretty cool. So nothing crossing, right? Boom. It's going to select those two. But if I select the opposite, now it selects everything. All right. So let's do this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right. So I normally leave it out here, and you might be wondering, man, this thing isn't letting me select everything. Well, you've got your window crossing turned on, and it's not selecting anything other than what's in the view. All right, it doesn't allow it to cross as easily. All right. So here's my selection set. So now you guys remember WER. WER. It's just these three. Your move, your rotation, and your scale. Move, rotate, selection. Move, rotate, scale. Move, rotate, scale. All right, let me turn mine. Right, that's what these do. So with E, I can rotate. With scale, I can scale. All right, and I can rotate on any of these axes. Overall, right, X, Y, and Z. All right, set that to X, Y, P, Z. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna animate this guy. So I'm gonna hit N on my keyboard to set auto key up, and then boop, and then just rotate. Boop. Just like that. Whoa! All right. Just like that. You guys are animators. All right. So let's move on along. Move on along. So scale and select in place. All right, that select in place is pretty cool because I can just select any object and then place it on any other object. Boom. Just like that. Placed it on the front side. All right, that's a pretty cool one. And you can drop that down as well. All right, you can select and rotate in place. Pretty cool stuff, but you usually leave that. So these are your coordinate systems right here. So I can do everything based on its local axis. So let's select all, delete. So I can show you guys this in effect. All right. Zero everything out. So if I look at this box, right now it's going to scale it based on the view. I can scale it based on the screen. So wherever I am on screen, I can scale it from there. So let me scale this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right. Oh, no. Screen. See how the gizmo's rotating? It's rotating because I'm scaling it based on where the screen is. So now it's going to rotate that for me and say, okay, he's facing this way. It needs to be scaled this way. But if I scale it based on the view, it doesn't matter where I am. It's going to rotate. It's going to stay in place. It's going to rotate that view for me. So it's going to say, hey, listen, you're in this view. This is how you need to scale it. All right. Or I can scale it based on the world. All right. It's a little different. It's a little harder to show. Have to go into the edit poly, but then I can scale it on its local axis. Or I can scale it on a gimbal, the grid. Right? It just basically follows this grid. Or I can set like a working pivot. So I can set this up and then I can scale it from there. All right, so now I've got a working pivot. So let's go back and scale it on the world. Let's do local. I can even pick where I want to scale it from. So let me draw this sphere. Let's click the pick. So I can pick that, and then I can scale this. Based on the parent sphere. Well, it should be allowing me to scale it based on that guy's coordinates. All right, so that's pretty much the scaling, or your scaling, your move, and your rotate, your axes that you work from. I work mostly from the view, local, and the world. All right, so let's see. So you can change where your pivots are. Let's turn these off. So I can use the local pivot, I can use the selection center, or I can use a different coordinate center. So it's W, turn off A. Right. So you can have this selection and manipulate, and it'll give you this little band around it that you can use to try to scale it. But this stuff is, I don't really use any of this kind of stuff. I feel like it's really gimmicky. Right? There's a lot of gimmicky stuff that, you know, I don't have time for. It doesn't really doesn't really bring anything to my the work that I do, but it's there. You know, I maybe use 10 to 15, maybe 20% of the software for the stuff that I do. The rest of the stuff I do is in other programs. But it's important to know what all of this stuff does. So, like this keyboard shortcut, this overrides your keyboard shortcuts. If you have it turned off, it's going to set everything back to default. If your keyboard shortcuts aren't working that you set up, you might have this unchecked. So you want to check that to make sure that you got your keyboard selection set up and good to go. Alright, so here is your snaps and your angle snaps. So here, this is pretty cool. So if I hit A, this allows me to A and S. So I can snap my objects to different things. See? Right now, I'm pretty sure it's set to vertex. So if I double click this guy, so yeah, it is set to vertex. So what this does is it says, okay, I want to snap it to, do I want to snap it to the grid points, the pivot points, perpendicular, angle, a vertex, edge, face, right? You can choose however you want it to snap to. So if I turn on grid points or grid lines, and if I hit G on my keyboard, let's go to F, and let's go to Z. So I can snap this box to any of these grid points or the grid lines, right? You can see that it's snapping to all of those grid points. I can turn it off and I can leave on vertex, so it's gonna stick to any vertex that I want it to. So it's gonna let me select the vertex, right? And then I can stick it to any of these verts, right? I can stick it to any vert on that object. So that snaps are very cool and very important because I use them to snap it to, if I want something to stick on something, I'm just like, all right, let me snap it here. I can snap that to that corner, right? I would just pick a vert, snap it, just like that. All right, so that's how your snap works. And to turn them on and off, it's A and S, A, S, A, S, A, S. All right, so turn off those angle snaps. And then you can even have it snap to a percent. So you can toggle that here. You can also manage your selection sets here. So you can create a bunch of objects, make a selection set for them. Right, so you can create a new selection set. So I can say this is buildings. Right, and in my selection set, I've added all of these guys to it. So now I can, I can be working and I'll be like, man, I need to select those buildings again, but I've already created a selection set, so boom, I've got my selection set good to go. It's another form of groups and different adding layers and stuff like that to it. So that's how that works. It's a pretty cool, cool little feature. All right, so this is your mirror tool. So if I build a box right here and I want another one, I can just mirror this guy on, let's see, X, Y. So right now, the reason I'm not seeing two of them is because it's not making a clone of it. It's just making, let's do X, Y so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let's do F4. So if we make it an instance, so it's going to make us another copy, right? And then we can take these, and then we can mirror. And then we can even offset them. Let's do 500. All right, so it's going to offset them. You can mirror the IK, FK limits. So if I make them instance, right, you can see that what happens is it looks like these box names got bolder. The reason is because these guys are all linked. They all share the same information set. That means that if I increase the length of one, it's going to increase the length of the others. If I increase the width of one, it's going to do the same for the others. And if I increase the height, it's going to do the same for the others. So that's why if you make them instances of each other, you have a better chance of working with it still. So now if I add an edit poly modifier on top of this bad boy, right, I can start making my changes. Let me hit extrude. Right, so boom, I can pull this guy out, right, start making changes, all right, right, we can just start making these shapes and have something that duplicates as we're going. All right, and I can move this out of the way. So sometimes what I'll do is, if I'm modeling something, right, I'll make a copy of it. Right, I'll shift drag, say make it a copy, and I'll work on this one knowing that I've got this one as backup in case I ruin anything or I mess something up. Or if I want something where I know it's going to be the same on both sides, I would just, right, I would just mirror this on the Z-axis, say okay. Now that I know that I have the same one, I can just start messing with this guy. I can just start, boom, knowing that, oh, it's going to affect the other guy, right? So that's the beauty of working with instance geometry versus copy geometry. That's some of the practical uses for them. All right, so moving on to the align tool. You can align different things to each other. So I can take my align tool. I want to align this dead center of this, right? I want to align this to the center of this. I'm going to select that. Right now it's aligning it to the pivot. I don't want it to align to the pivot. I want the center of this object. So now it's aligned to the center on the X, Y, and Z position. So I can turn these off and it's going to only align to the X, but I want all those positions. And then I can match the scale, right? I can also align the local orientation, but I don't want to do that. So apply, okay. Now this guy is smack dab in the center of this, and I can continue my modeling however I need to, right? So that's the beauty of that. All right. So align tool. So this is our layers. So this is our Scene Explorer. This is our layers. So this is our Scene Explorer. This Scene Explorer is essentially everything that you have in your scene. This is they stole this from Maya, in all honesty. They stole this feature from Maya and brought it in here. And you know, it just shows you everything. If I have some lights in here, it'll say, okay, I've got, so let's create some target lights, right? It's gonna populate it with everything that I've put in this scene. So here I can select everything that I have in my scene. So I don't know why my objects look like garbage right now, but I think ever since I put some of these stuff in the selection set, it's been acting funky ever since. I don't know why. Let's edit this. Yeah, it's got this weird shading issue now. I'll probably have to restart it to get it back, but I can show you guys what I'm trying to show you guys. So yeah, here in your Scene Explorer, you can select everything you want, right? Everything that you have in your scene, and then you can weed it down to just objects, just cameras, right? All these buttons, they signify different things. So I would implore you guys to go in and look at what they do. If you just hover over it, it tells you what it is. Right, so I just want my anything that's an object in here, I want to be able to select it. It's going to filter it to my objects. If I want all shapes, right, I can turn off this and leave just shapes. If I want just lights, right, so you can filter that out and say this is what I want. So here's your layers. It's going to take a second to, okay, it's already open right here. So our layers are just like this. They're similar to that, to the Scene Explorer, but here you can throw different things in different layers. So I can make a layer. It's just another group, another selection set kind of thing. All right, so I can put these guys, control, and then I can make them a new layer. Right. So this new layer, I'm going to call it Shapies. Alright, so I've got these Shapies in here, so let's see. I got all my selections, everything in here. So I've got my new layer of stuff, and I'm just going to shift, it's in the default. I can just drag it into my shapes layer now. Right now, all my shapes have their own layer now. I control my visibility from here. I can freeze them from here, right? I can make them renderable from here. I can make them display or not display in here. Right? I can display them as box in here or whatever if I want. Right? I can make sure that you don't see the object, you see them as boxes. Right? So this gives you different functionality. It's just another way to put it in a group with a little more control. All right, so you know, we've made our way pretty much through this interface. This is our curve editor. If we are, this is the ribbon right here. So if you don't see this toolbar right here, click on this guy. All right, this is your modeling panel, your create panel, all that other stuff. Alright, so this is your animation editor. If you've got animations in the scene, this will allow you to affect those. So my layers, I probably have something frozen. So I can't select them. Yep, I have all of them frozen, so let's unfreeze these guys because I need to use them for this next demonstration. PZ. Alright, select this guy, hit N to turn on my auto key. Key that. Go there. So I've got this movement, but I'm going to also do up. Alright, so whoop. Alright. So we've got this little up animation we do. We want to kind of mess with some of these keys. So we can start to go into our object and we can see our keys in here. So it's got no rotation keys. But we can mess with our other keys. So we can select our keys here. We can change the interpolation. So right now this is the going up. Right? That's what that is. Try to reduce this. So if you go all the way up, you can see where the peak is. So this is the peak right here. This is the highest point. This is this key right here. Boop, right here. So I can now affect it however I want because I got to select it. So let's select our key. Zoom in. Oh, you guys can't even see my curves. I just realized that. All right. All right. So here are the curves. I know you guys. Sorry, you guys couldn't see that, but this is the curve that I'm trying to show you guys. So this correlates directly with this animation that we just made. So the highest point, this key right here, is this key right here. Let's go up. Up. That's that point right there. And we can manipulate that key. We can do different functions with it. So we can change the interpolation so we can do slow to fast. So that's going to change our animations. Let me play this. Boom. You see that? Let me move this to... Okay, let's put this at the bottom. Let's dock this at the bottom. So we can see our keys and kind of what's going on. So if I hit play, whoop, whoop, just like that. But I can change the animation, right? I can select that key. Move this. Maybe better up here. All right. So if I select this key, I can change how it interpolates. I can make it a stepped. So it's like boop, boop, right? Now that interpolation's a little different. It's a different animation. I haven't done anything else other than select that key and change how it's interpolated. Now I've given it a smoother interpolation. So now that key goes up and it smooths down. It's no more stepped, right? What animators do is they'll use that stepped one to see how their animation is working pose to pose. So it's like this pose, then this pose, then this pose, then this pose. And it allows them to create better animations, better interpolations, and different things like that. So I'm just showing you guys where some of this stuff is. You guys are probably not going to use it for any of the stuff we're doing here, but I like to kind of give you guys a small framework of how this stuff can work. So let's take this. Let's take our guy out of there, and we should be good. All right. So let's keep moving. We just looked at the curve editor. So here's the schematic view. This is pretty much everything in your scene in like a node-based view. I'm not gonna lie to you, never used this guy a day in my life. Never ever had to. Never, and I've been able to do countless projects. So there's some things you just it'll never be your thing to do, right? You might never encounter the particle simulator or things like that. Like there's certain things you guys just might never do. You guys might never do simulations in here, right? But you need to know that, okay, this product has the capabilities of doing this. So here's your schematic view. It allows me to select all the objects. It's just another selection set where you can kind of start looking at things from different angles and different things like that. All right. Let's see. We've looked at our schematic view. This is our material editor. Once again, this is the granny way, right? If you click it, it'll open your material editor. But if you want to be the cool guy, you can just hit M on your keyboard and it's going to pop up your material editor. And I'll go over the material editor later. This isn't this class. This isn't the material editing class. All right. So here is your material editor. That's how you get to it. This is your render setup, right? You guys should know how to get here already. If you hit F10 on your keyboard, that's going to bring that up. This is how we change it to HDTV, and we change the render format, the render type we're using, the renderer itself, ray tracing, upping our samples and stuff like that. I don't want to get bogged down into the specifics right now. It's a lot of stuff, and I'm sorry because I know I'm throwing a ton of information. This is a ton of information. So you guys are going to have this video to go back on, rewatch, use it again, and if you miss something, you can go back to it. So you're never going to be, oh man, what did he say that button did? You will have the video. I'm recording all of this, recording my keyboard, recording everything, so you guys have access to all of this at any point in time, any given day. Watch it on your phone, watch it anywhere, and you'll be back up to speed in no time. All right. So that's that. Here's our render window. Remember, this is the granny way to do it. If you want to do it the cool guy way, Shift and Q, boom, we'll pop that bad boy right up for you, right? Shift and Q, render. Right, you ready to render? Just hit that, boom, boom, Shift Q. Oh, I'm good to go, right? You ain't got to search for the little teapot, you ain't short and stout, right? You just do your thing. All right, so then there's render production. This will pull up your window. This will render your production. This will render in the cloud. You guys don't have that right now. You guys don't have a cloud render right now, and I wouldn't suggest you, because it's gonna just try to take you online to render. It's stupid. Don't click this. Just don't click this. All right. This is your 360 gallery. I don't use it at all. Like at all. I don't use it at all. But that's fine. If you guys find a use for it, do your thing. Go for it. It's perfectly fine. All right, so let's see. This is your project file. So you can create different file structures. So if I want to save my file somewhere, if I want to save everything to, I can create a file format that I put somewhere, and I can create an empty one, create it as the default so that every time I make a new scene file, it saves everything in there. But I usually just do file create new. So this is an easy one for you. Rarely use it, but it can come in handy. This is the workspace setup, right? You can set up your workspaces different, however you want to set them up. That's okay with me. I do default because this is it. That's it. All right, this one is the main toolbar, so it'll give you all your toolbars and stuff. I use the default for the most part, and then I kind of edit it however I want. So if I want a different tab here, I'll find it myself and pull it in there. For the most part, this is how I work, just because it's easier for teaching. I don't have a lot of stuff in the way that you guys see. It's pure modeling, and hopefully you guys will appreciate that in the long run. All right, so that's pretty much it for this class. That's pretty much the 3ds Max interface. I mean, that's at least all these top bars here. This bottom stuff is just your playback features right here. If you click here, you can configure the type of playback you have. You can have it loop or not loop. You can set it to NTSC, PAL, film. People use NTSC, film, and these are interchangeable. You can change the playback speed. You can play it at half the speed, twice the speed, 4 times. You can even change the start and finish. You can add more time to it. So if I put, let's see, let's do 1, 2, 3, 1,000. Now I've got 0 to 1,000 here. All right, so that's how that works. Very simple. You guys know where the Max Script Listener is. Auto key, set key. Set your keys there, and then these are your zoom features. But you guys already know how to do that the cool guy way. So this is all just your manipulation. Oh, the only other cool one here is walk. I like this mode when I'm doing like an architectural kind of thing. So let's do PZ. So if I'm doing like an architectural kind of thing, and it's hard for me, like there's so much stuff in the scene that it's hard to walk through it. Well, I'll just go and take this guy, this walking guy, and it acts like if you're using Unreal, where you can now use your WASD keys to kind of move around, which is pretty cool. So that's that. That's the walking feature, PZ. So yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Your modifier tabs here. Does anybody have any questions about what you guys need to do? What I'm waiting for is to see when everybody's going to get their 3ds Max and stuff, so that we can get everybody started on this, this first model and stuff.
I asked the counselor about it, and I was like, how is it going? And then I was like, is it in a working progress? And she was like, yeah, it is.
You should have been like, don't he this. This ain't he matters.
Yeah, I was just like, well,
ain't no he ha.
I didn't reply because it was kind of like, I was just like, is this a funny moment? Am I supposed to laugh? Like, it's because like I need it for almost all my classes, and if I don't have it, I'm basically failing.
I don't get that. I don't.
And she said that the students shouldn't have left, but she said she emailed you.
Okay.
She said that it was very unprofessional because we don't, for college classes, we're not supposed to follow the high school schedule.
That's what I thought, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's the day that she said that. And we're supposed to like focus on college classes. But Tuesday and Thursday, that's when we have that's when they have the high school classes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
You see? I had your back.
Thank you. I'm like,
but yeah,
that's crazy. About all of that.
Yeah, she said she emailed you though. It's Gil, I think.
Miss Gill?
Yes.
I think I've met her before.
Yeah.
She's a nice lady. Yes.
She is. She was like, I'm so confused why they left and everything, and I was like, me too.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we gotta go. Our next class starts in 4 minutes. All right, cool. I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow, Wednesday. Like, it's like last week there was this schedule, and then this week, I'm glad we just got it all figured out. She sent me an email so that I know what the deal is. So now we can have something that's set in place that is from the actual school, because it was about to be weird for if my class isn't gonna be here for most of the day. So yeah. All right, cool stuff.
Okay.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's a lot of information. I know. The thing is, sitting where you guys are, your faces are probably like, but and trust me, that's literally how I was when I first got here. Like, when I first got to school, was when my teacher would start talking, it would just be like, woo, okay, he said all this, but I don't know what he's talking, So when you guys start getting into it, right, when you guys start doing it, right, you will hopefully start to understand, okay, this is what he was talking about. This is what he's talking about, right? You're going to start running into issues that you're going to be like, this sounds like an easy one. This sounds so simple, but I don't know it. So hopefully you guys will have some of these videos to go back to help you go, okay, that's what he's talking about. That's where that is. And you know, at first it sounds like Chinese, or it sounds like a foreign language, or Sanskrit or hieroglyphics, but after you start understanding these basic terms, the software is going to be the easy part. And I want the software to be a very small part of it, because the software is going to change. Like, you guys might leave this class and you might end up using Blender, right? You might leave this class and you might be using Maya or Modo, you know. And what I want you guys to take from this class isn't that learn software. Software changes, right? That's irrelevant. What's important for you guys to know is what to do when you get into software, what to look for when you get into software. If you're a 3D modeler, all right, I know I need to look for my extrudes. I know I need to look for my cuts, my loops, my rings, the things that allow me to manipulate the geometry, right? If I'm an animator, I need to figure out where my IK rigs are, my FK rigs are, how to skin, how to paint weights. Like, you just need to know where to figure out the things that you specifically need to do to get your job done. You need to don't worry about everybody else. Worry about what you need to do for your job, and you guys will be perfectly fine. You'll be able to go into Blender, you know, and within a week, you'll be like, okay, I can model in Blender, right? And I want you guys to have that kind of confidence where it's just modeling, right? You know, like, once I get into it, oh, okay, I just need to know how to extrude, bevel, do this, then I can just export it out. And, you know, because this stuff, it's hard on the onset, right? It's hard on the onset because it's going to take you a lot of time to kind of build up that knowledge gap that you guys don't have. But once you build that, you're going to see that, oh, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Like, he was just showing us the little, we're just scratching the surface. What we can do is endless, right? What we can do is we can make anything. I can make anything I want, right? I just need to figure out where, you know, what I need to do to make this shape, or make, you know, and that's where the practice is really going to come in. You know, where you're going to be practicing different shapes and different shape language and how they complement each other and your art, you know, because I want you guys to be artists and not really like technical. You know, it's good to be a technical person in that sense, but this is an art class. And if I bog you guys too much down with the technical side, you're going to be turned off of it as an art form. And it's going to become 3ds. You know, why did you do that? Oh, because 3ds Max did it. No. That's not how you guys should respond. I did that because I made the artistic choice that looks better. I made this artistic, you know, you're using the software to create the art, not using, not just using the software, not letting the software create the art. Let me say that right. The software doesn't create the art. You guys do, right? So when you're making these decisions, you should be making well-informed, good decisions about the practices that you guys are doing, right? I'm putting this edge loop here because I know it's going to support this edge. I'm putting, not because, well, that's where 3ds Max put it, or that's what, you know, that's the wrong answer you should ever give, right? Never ever give the answer of the software did it, because it's the equivalent of my dog ate my homework. Like, that's how we look at it, as like, and you're like, wait, your dog ate your homework? What are you doing? You know, so definitely you guys are the artists, letting the software, using the software as a tool. You know, you're Batman. This is just part of your arsenal. This is one of the tools in your gadget belt. You know, you're here to conquer. So that's pretty much it for the interface. Hopefully those guys will watch this tomorrow. You guys are going to definitely have a leg up because, you know, you guys sat through it, and now you're going to understand, okay, this is where this is, and you guys are probably going to be the ones that people are going to when they need help. So, you know, you guys are going to have to make yourself available to people to help them out whenever they're running into issues about where things are and things like that. So there's always a number one and number two, and you know, everybody else is trash to me, but you guys will be, you know, be definitely at the top of that ranking. You know, if you guys keep showing up and putting in good effort, right? So, do you guys have any questions for me before we adjourn this class?
No.
No? You guys are good?
When's our next class? I guess is the next question.
It's gonna be Wednesday, right? It's Monday,
Alright.
Wednesday, to Friday. You know.
And we're
That's-
still doing 11-ish, 11 o'clock, right?
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was 11, but if everybody's can get up at 9, that's okay too. You know, I don't mind.
I mean, 11 to noon is already good. I don't know why they're like, I think they're just confused about the schedule because I know for sure we go to Richland Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know what they're thinking. Yeah, I know about the whole C days, but even though it's C day, we're still supposed to focus on college day on
Yeah.
that C day.
Well, when I was at Richland, that's how we did it. Like they would show up Mondays,
that's how
Wednesdays,
we
and
did it,
Friday,
too.
and they would, we do the class, and it would be from a certain time to a certain time. You would have class, and then the rest of the class would be, computer time or lecture or not lecture time. So I'd lecture for a bit, and then it would be practical. So you guys would go and do the work or whatever, and that's how I usually hold my classes, which is I lecture for a bit, and then you guys go and do this stuff. So if you run into issues, I can be there to help you. So that's how I'm probably
you're
gonna run
right.
this class.
You're right. That's how the class is.
Yeah.
Miss Gilb is just saying that they're a little confused. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably gonna
but
be.
she was also confused herself to why they're leaving and trying to she was asking me why are they leaving, what they're doing, where are they going, and I was like, I'm not sure. They just said they have to leave, and then I sent her the schedule that one of the students sent, and she said that if it's a college class, you're not supposed to focus on that schedule. That schedule is only meant for Tuesday and Thursday, which is B day.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we're definitely going to discuss that. I'll definitely post that in this thread and say, hey, this is the schedule. Talk to, Miss Gill. Is she like the vice principal or something?
Counselor?
She's a counselor?
Because-
Okay.
Yes, but she has all the information. And I even told them before they left, I was like, talk to Miss Chandler and Miss Gill instead because they're collegiate, not talk to their teacher. But I guess none of them listened
No,
because they all left.
I think they wanted to leave, so I'm gonna let them do their thing this one time. But after this, there's no more. You can't leave before class is over. So, yeah. So we're gonna do the same thing Wednesday. If it says 9 to 11, that's 2 hours. I mean, we can do 10 to noon if everybody feels better with that, so that I give everybody like an hour to wake up or something. Because I know, y'all be up late playing video games and stuff. I don't know what y'all be doing, but I'm up usually like around 5, 6, so I'm usually up moving around and doing stuff by then. So I'll give everybody like an hour this week, and then we'll try to ramp it up next week. And if we're good, we can definitely do it from 11 to 12 and then be out and let everybody get their stuff done. But it's going to depend on how everybody kind of does with their stuff. So
I mean, we can do it to 12:30 too, as long as it's not 1:30, because 1:30 I have class with psych.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, if we we can probably do 10 to noon, just so it's like instead of like a 3-hour course, or 10 to 11:30. Either way, so you'll have time to get back to whatever you need to get back to.
So around 9 we have advisory class. So basically we take a 10. That's pretty much it. Other than that,
Nhanh lên lèo quá.
that's it.
Đi vừa qua,
Just have to get on Zoom around 9
đi vừa
or
qua
10
là
minutes with
có
our
cái đấy
advisor.
nhìn nhìn lên nào. Có lần đi.
All right. Well, I have
I
a
got a
good.
full-time job. I'm actually at work now, so I will be up at whatever time, whenever we need class, however we need it.
Okay, so if you have a full-time job, what hours are best for you?
Evening. I saw this was an online class, so I thought I'd be able to do it when I had spare time.
Well, okay.
But I'm able to listen in through class. Like right now, I'm listening through my phone and
Okay.
watching on my phone.
Yeah, and
So
that's
I
the
can
thing.
make
It's like,
do.
yeah, you don't, you honestly don't have to be here. You can, the way I set it up, you can go at any point in time, watch the videos, interact with me if you need to. And that's why I record it, so that if somebody doesn't have the opportunity to be in class, they can still watch it after, and you'll get full interaction, full with what everybody said and the questions that were asked, and hopefully you can still keep along with that. And I'd hate to lose anybody just because they weren't in class. So, yeah, man. I'll try to make it. Do you have like a lunch break at a certain time, or anything like that, or what? What's your schedule like? When are you? So, like right now that you're listening to, do you have like a break or anything, or at any given time, or is it just you're working through it?
I mean, whenever it works for me.
Okay.
I'll just, as long as I'm not busy. I mean, obviously work's gonna take precedence, but
Yeah.
might have my phone on me most of the day. So,
Okay.
if I'm available, I'll join the classes.
Okay, man. No problem, man. Yeah, keep up the good work. I know, times are tough right now. It's not easy. A lot of people you're doing this while getting a job, so like that, that's a different added level of responsibility for you. And I always applaud anybody that because that's what I did. I worked all through college, and I think it's an important aspect of just growing up in these times. I know it's going to be hard, and it's going to be a trying time for everybody. So definitely just put your best foot forward, and if you guys keep trying, man, anything's possible. You never want to sell yourself short, and but if you guys give yourselves an opportunity to learn this stuff, I believe that you guys can really make this stuff awesome. But if you guys don't have anything, man, I'll let you guys get back to work, get back to your day, and I'll see you guys Wednesday.
Oh, if you want to update about getting the software, I can give it to you, because I'm kind of like, because since nobody want to communicate with our staff, I'm kind of like, they put me in charge to communicating with them. And if you also want to update about it, I can like give you an update, because that's what I'm doing to all of my professors. Because
Okay.
none of the student thinks it's like, none of the students think it's important to communicate and get the software. They just think it's a free pass, which is not. So
Yeah, it's definitely not a free pass. If you don't do the work, you don't get a grade. Like a few of my students had to realize that the hard way. A few of them thought they could just not show up and then on the last week say, "Oh, I'm here. Can I do all the work and pass?" I said, "All right, if you can make all the work, you can pass." They would not make all. It's impossible. You have to be here. You have to essentially be doing the work as the class is progressing. It's hard for somebody who first learning it. Modeling, high poly, low poly texturing process is very, very hard. Even with the basic models that I'm giving you, it's a hard concept to grasp without your classmates there to bounce ideas off and understand fully, right? So I don't think anybody can pass this class by winging it. If that's what anybody's thinking, you're not going to be able to wing it and pass this class. You're going to have to actually participate, do some work, and it's a very self-driven class, right? It's a very self-driven field, right? It's something that if you want to learn, you're going to have to put in your personal time. You're not going to learn everything by just sitting in for 30 minutes a day in my class listening to a lecture. You're going to have to get your ass out there, be in, doing this at home, practicing it. Like, that's how you're going to learn this stuff. That's how I learned it. That's how a lot of people I know learned it. And I would implore you guys to take that attitude as well. But if you guys don't have any other questions, man, we can set it up. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Definitely keep me updated, April. I appreciate you guys showing up and sticking around today. I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday.
bye.
Sounds good. Have a good one.